All right. So last week we shipped the context kit and we started to build real assets from the context kit, and that is kind of what we're going to just be working through in this entire series, is how can we take the brain that we built, give it hands, give it feet, and put it to work. That's the goal. And how do we make it actually work super effectively and iterate that forward, just like the OODA loop kind of talked about. So this is me again. What happened last week in AI is actually super duper important because a lot happened in AI last week. And that is a couple things. One, actually, ironically, probably 3 hours after the class happened last week, Anthropic shipped a new model called Sonnet 5. That model is absolute garbage based on every eval and stuff like that. Now, when I say absolute garbage, I mean absolute garbage right now, because usually one of two things happens when a new model release goes down. Either it's insanely powerful, and it opens up a whole new world for people, or they're still figuring it out, but they wanted to put something out for whatever reason, and so they felt that the best way to, in my opinion, get the information to make this model more effective was to get it in the hands of people and let them play with it and see how it works, and basically take that data, then improve the model and re-release, right? And so they're just going to keep iterating forward. So the model is Sonnet 5, and it performs worse than previous generation models, but it's a little bit cheaper, and it's designed to be used by agentic workflows, meaning, so an agent is the large language model, so ChatGPT and Claude, one of those. The tools required for that agent to do its job. So as an example, if you're building a workflow that has email, right? Like you want an email assistant, you would give this agent access to your email so it can read, draft, and potentially respond if you choose to do that. I like to leave things in draft personally, because once you send something, it's irreversible. I don't mind giving AI stuff that you can undo. I don't like giving it, at least right now, stuff that once it's done, it's out there. So I think this will be a good model eventually, once they figure out exactly how it's best used. They also shipped Claude Science, which is a desktop app that does real research. It's like a real, like if you have health concerns, if you want a physics question, if you want more of the scientific breakdown of how an AI is effective. It's basically trained to be a scientific helper for whatever you want it to do. One of the examples I used it for was I am trying to optimize my learning capability based on neuroscience principles. So like, how can I create a dopamine loop that builds positive learning instead of scrolling on TikTok, right? It's the same kind of impact. Then what is not on this slide is they also unexport controlled Claude Fable 5. So we have it. It came back super nerfed, which in the tech community means it is much less effective than it was previously, which is fine. They're figuring out the guardrails. They're doing the things. It's kind of the same thing they're doing with Sonnet, right? Like they re-released it and now they're absolutely figuring it out. And it is a really good model, but you have to understand how to work with it, and that'll be something that we go over probably in one of the next classes. But it's really, really good.
So sorry.
Boo. No, I'm just kidding. And so one of the cool things about the new model, well, I say cool, but like one of the neat things about any new model that comes out is that it often changes how you should be talking to the model, how you're prompting to the model. And in this case, it actually is going to change how the model is used. So they have included that model with the Claude subscription until today. After today, that model goes away off subscription and you have to pay for what's called usage credits, meaning it becomes much more expensive, and you should be focusing on how to get a real ROI out of it now, because it's will no longer be included in the Claude subscription after today.
And that's the Fable.
That's Fable 5, yeah. It's a really, really potent model. They have made statements that they are planning to add it back to the plan once they have sufficient capability to do so. So once they buy more GPUs and hardware, energy, all the stuff required to actually put it in people's hands. But they're taking it away because it is I think it's very expensive for them to operate. And so they're basically saying, hey, we can't subsidize this as much as we can the other models. And what I mean by subsidize is, so for like, if you pay $200 to Claude, you can get roughly, I think it's $15,000 in API credits if it was like a one-to-one basis, right? And so they're subsidizing a large portion by letting that $200 price point stay in place. And so the people complaining about it don't, in my opinion, understand the economics of the industry, because Claude and Anthropic are doing a really good thing by having that $200 price point provide that much value. Now, that being said, it's an amazing model, and hopefully it will be added back to the plan. So where we left off last week, so we built Agent Context. We did not quite get to ship 3 live pages, and we hopefully with the context kit, as we ship live pages, they're already going to sound like you, and they will need significantly less refactoring, rebuilding, kind of redoing, because you already have your base context built out. And then one of the things that we want to think about too is when it does produce an asset, if it's consistently producing the wrong thing, you want to go back and look at your context, because the goal is to build the context that builds the app, not build a prompt by prompt by prompt, because that's how you go, you have a one-off, a one-off, a one-off. You don't have that consistency. You don't have that ease of kind of having the brain to push things out. I have new rules, 2 new rules. One is that I was spoken to by a couple people that I say things and they go too fast, and then that's my brain, how it works. So I am implementing the rule that if you need time to process something, please raise your hand, because other people probably need that same time, and I can expand further. I can do whatever is required to make that understanding like actually useful. If I'm not communicating in a way that you guys are actually getting value out of, my communication sucks. Right? And so like the goal of communication is to be understood, right? The goal of receiving communication is to understand. If there's anything deviance from that, I'm not hitting my goal. So I kind of told the story where like there have been several presentations where I've been learning stuff and I'll raise my hand and it'll take 10, 15 seconds for me to ask the question, because I have to think about what the actual question even is that I want. I just want this person to stop talking so I can think of the question, right? And so it's valuable for the whole class, in my opinion, to have those processing breaks, because like your brain works in ironically very similar OODA loop, similar process to an OODA loop, where you take the information in and your brain consolidates it and tries to do pattern matching, right? And so if you just take a little bit of processing time, you can often come up with a really great question, or your brain processes and you're like, got it now, right? And so that space is super fine, and I want to eliminate, because when I would do it, it would just be awkward silence and everyone would be staring at me like, does he know how to talk, or why did he raise his hand, right? And so I want to eliminate that awkwardness by putting that out there on the front end. So if there is time needed, just raise your hand and I'll stop talking. The other thing I want to talk about is that if I can do it, you can do it, because almost every person I talk to is higher conventionally educated than I am. And so that should represent that you can do things that are, difficult, more difficult than I could do through conventional education. So if you can learn and get like even the real estate cert, 4-year college degree, 2-year college degree, 6-month personal training certificate, whatever it is that you apply to do, that should show you that you can get from A to B in a more effective way than I could at certain points in my life. And so to prove that, I am going to show you guys some of my first websites. And also some of my recent ones. So here is my very first website that you can see is not great. Very, mundane color pattern, generic emojis, like it's just not good. Same thing for this one. We did a cohort where we got together in the morning, and you can see this page is not good. And that's his front end and back end. So the technical side of it, it's not good either. Like, these aren't appearing on Google. These weren't performing for an aesthetic person, like the person that's watching the website and the people that are trying to find the website, not performing at all. This is a friend of mine who is an amazing, amazing integrative medicine provider. And this was her website. And again, it's not terrible, right? But it's not good. You can even see there's little things here that aren't great. It's not ideal. So, I mean, it was a functional website for her at the time. She has a much better website now. And then the same with, this is her corporate wellness website. I don't think this one even made it to print, but this was, it's just very generic and not great. Oh, and this one, I did a furniture CRM at one point, and you can see why it didn't go great. And I also did a golf business called The Hideout. This is one of my favorite companies of all time. I was actually in the ad campaign for the golf business at the time because they needed social stuff. But that, and then this is one of the modern ones. So you can see it's got an animation. It actually shows kind of what the business is. It has a better call to action, all that kind of stuff. And this was for a company doing ad management in ChatGPT. So ChatGPT I think within the last 3 or 4 months, started putting ads for the free tier in. And so this is a simple landing page that conveys the message more effectively. It has some animations. It gets the message across much more effectively than some of the other pages. This one is for these are all completely AI. I did no coding work at all for these. This is a company that does basically AI optimization for creators who don't know how to monetize their business, right? So if you can get an audience, you can sell stuff to that audience. So this helps monetize for people that don't know how to monetize, because as a creator, if you run out of resources, what you end up doing is you end up stopping, you no longer create stuff that's useful for people. And so the goal with that company is to help with that. And then this is what I built for my Focus performance drink when I went down to the video game conference. So super different aesthetic. And that's one thing to point out with each of these is, like, this is the ESC, which is the video game competition, and metal kind of combined. This one is very simple, very easy for the Human Creator Collective. Again, very simple, lots of white space, much better than, well, that was not the worst, but this one is much better than that, right? So that is proof that where you start is definitely not where you finish. So today is the loop. So we're going to review what we've built so far, and then we are going to do our best to 100x it and really improve and make it super duper effective, and then also go over the process to actually make those improvements as you go. So there's 3 things that really make it better. One is to figure out what your blind spots are. So you can ask the AI to audit the page and say, hey, what am I missing here? What are the design choices that I should be making? What are the technology solutions that I should be using? What are the things that my context doesn't have that it probably should? The second thing is taste. Majority of real estate professionals have better taste than I do because it's required for your guys' job to be super effective. With this, there's a big gap between generic AI content at this point and AI content that is resonant to your brand, right? And so we want to be able to not only have the the visuals of the content look just like it came from you, like it's your personal touch. But we also want the back end, we want the SEO, the generative engine optimization, all the stuff that makes the site useful to Google, useful to AI agents, useful to all that stuff. We want to move that forward as quickly as possible. And the biggest way to do that is to figure out kind of your taste. So like, who are your customers? What does your aesthetic look like? When you're talking to your best customers, what are you showing them? How are you presenting to them? How are you connecting with them? All that stuff. And then optimize to convert. So once everything is like kind of functional, what we want to do is we want to run the context card. We want to get that right first. So we don't want to take the context card, build an asset, and then focus on building the asset. We want to take the context card, build the asset, figure out what we need to do to make that asset ideal for your business, then take that information back to the context card and try to recreate the asset in less time, less steps, right? Because we want to build the system that's actually building things for you. We don't want to build the things that the system produces, because then we're not actually fixing the real problem, right? And so we want to find what you can't see. So your pages already sound like you. The problem is you're too close to spot what is missing, right? So you only know what you only know. Like, one of my favorite quotes is, I question all my beliefs except for those I question all my beliefs except for those which I don't know to question and that which I truly believe, right? So I don't question anything, actually. And that is something that is really, really important, is to understand that, like, hey, I don't know what I don't know, but I have a tool that can show me what I don't know, right? And we're at the first time in human history where the tool can teach you how to use the tool better, right? The tool makes me superfluous if you know how to use the tool well enough. And that's the truth. And that's why I'm one of the only AI teachers that I've heard that basically says, I am trying to replace me. Because you guys, when you have enough capability, you don't need me, you don't need anything else. You don't even need like to pay for individual tools. You can build it all with the AI stuff, with a foundational model. You can build whatever you need. And so you can get it here with read every file in my agent context folder, and it just goes through and it kind of details what are the unknowns, what are the things that you are not seeing that you probably should be seeing that is just due to lack of experience with the tools, right? Because as you understand the tools better, and just like I showed with those other websites, I didn't know that I could have a context card when I first built it. I was building every asset individually, and so every asset looked a little bit different. I had to re-prompt everything because it's like, oh, this AI tends to have the same problems across everything that it builds, right? And so if you know that it has the same problem, you can pre-solve it in the context kit. I did not know that, so I was trying to solve it every time differently with prompting. And so then you build those fixes into your context kit, and that is what is going to move your ability to move faster forward. Because the more that you impact your context kit and keep that updated and kind of do that, the more that you will be able to spend less time fixing things on the back end because you've fixed it on the front end. You've fixed the defect. Like, it's very similar to, like, if you think about a production line, right? Like, if a production line is producing a toy, let's say, and every dump truck that it produces has 3 wheels. Well, the solution is not to just add a 4th wheel at the end of production. The solution is to look into the actual assembly of the toy and say, okay, well, where can we add a 4th wheel to this toy? Why are dump trucks only having 3 wheels, right? And so we're looking at fixing systems, not fixing individual assets. So one of the biggest things is that taste is really knowing what to cut, because AI often overdoes stuff. And so a lot of times understanding what you need to do is, how do you eliminate things? Almost everybody wants to add stuff, Very few people think about eliminating things because we're in a society where you just add, right? Versus, oh, if I eliminate this, it fixes that whole problem. And so you basically want to really understand what is appealing to your audience. Because if like when I present to someone, they will get a different vibe from me than they would to the people in this room, right? And so you want to understand what your audience wants from you, and then you build that into the context. You don't want to build the things that I say into the context. They can be a good, helpful starting place. But if you know, like this, I'm a luxury realtor and this is my client base and this is how I interact with people, 100% you need to do that, right? Because taste is different across businesses, across towns, across cities, across everything. And so if you are performing well, lean into that and keep performing well by doing the things that you do well. If you're not performing well, you can look to optimize and make changes and find your blind spots again. So there is very generic stuff. 3 headlines fighting for attention, 5 paragraphs, 2 nobody reads, welcome to my page, filler intro. All that kind of stuff is very, very generic. But one headline that says who you help and where, and that's one of the benefits of AI is you can have one headline, but you can test 5 pages. So you don't have to have the perfect headline on your page. You can build 5 different pages and test each one to see, oh, this headline works for this customer group. This headline works for this client group. This headline works for this client group. So you can build assets much, much faster, and that's one of the reasons to build that context brain and make sure that it's functional. So, and then one of the things we've talked about a little bit is something called adversarial prompting. Basically meaning that you take one AI and have it argue with another AI. Because if you ask an AI to validate its own work, more often than not, it will give itself more forgiveness and favorability than it probably should, right? But if you ask a different AI, and it can be the same, like it can be ChatGPT, but just in a different window, you take it and you say, hey, an AI gave me this, I need you to tear it apart, like really rip it down. That is one of the most useful things you can do because you will see so much truth in what that adversarial AI is saying because it has no context. Just like with a person, right? Like your clients, if they bring you a ChatGPT thing, they're locked in. They like this ChatGPT thing. They wouldn't be presenting it to you if they didn't think it was valuable, right? And so if they get locked into it, it's one of those other weird parallels with human thought and AI. And I don't know why they connect in this way, but the AI is also going to be a little bit more like defensive about it's like, oh, I made this, how dare you, right? And so this is one of those things that is super duper useful is just having AIs argue with each other. And then, so the biggest thing with like landing pages and websites are the headline, the copy, like are you speaking to your exact client? You can have a really simple website, and I've actually tested this out where if you do just a plain black and white, simple, super simple website, it will stand out if the copy on the page is good. So if you've written good sales copy that connects to your audience, people will stop and read it, even if the aesthetics aren't beautiful. Right? Because this is what they want. If you connect with the transformation they're looking to get, like, oh, I want to leave California and come to Tennessee. I want to move from this school district to this school district. Whatever that transformation is that they're looking to get, if it's right there, plain as day on the website, I am an expert at helping people find the right school district in Middle Tennessee. I'm an expert at whatever it is that really is resonant with them. That's the thing that will kind of move the needle. So you can sharpen the headline. And again, this is super simple prompt that's just, rewrite the headline so a stranger in one line knows who I help, where, and what to do. So they know who you're helping, what location you're helping in, and what first steps they need to take to work with you. Are they going to call you? Are they going to email? Are they going to text? Are they going to fill out a contact form on your website? Are they going to be referred by someone? There are so many ways to acquire a client that one of the things you really want to do is make sure that there's a very easy next step. If you give people the next step, they will often take it. One of the things that's kind of super relevant for me in that regard is when I'm doing mobile home park stuff, if I give a tenant a violation that says, hey, you need to clean up your shed, you need to spray the moss or whatever off your home, you need to power wash it, whatever it is. If I just give them that notice and say, hey, you've got 30 days to do that, or there's going to be a fine, there's going to be X, Y, and Z escalations, it will either happen on day 29 or it won't happen and I go through the escalation process. Now, if I say, hey, power wash your house, and I give them vendors, I give them a power wash, like a rental place that they can go rent a power washer. I give them an affiliate link on Amazon so that they can go buy their own power washer if they want to. I've now given them 3 solutions to the problem that they have. Oftentimes, that's what they need. They're like, oh, I can just call Fred down the street and he'll power wash my house for me, rock and roll, let's get it done. And it gets done in like a week. So if you give people the next actionable step, that's often what they're missing. They just see, if you give them a problem, they see a problem. If you give them a problem and solution set, they see a pathway to it getting resolved, right? And that's the same with AI. So if you just, kind of audit one by one, that is the simplest way to do it. Now, what we're going to do is actually build stuff. And next week, we're going to talk about traffic, distribution, like all that fun stuff. And then, oh, there's my grandma. So that is the kind of the meat of the class. And now what we are going to do is go into Claude. Love that. And actually go and build out an asset using the context kit. So you can do regular Claude or Claude Code, either one. I will do regular Claude today, but the easiest way to do this is to go to artifacts. And I think all of them have an artifact. It's either artifact, a project, Google calls them gems. But basically, this is how you can create persistent context in a super duper simple way. So what you'll do is, and I'll get into cowork at some point, which is really, really helpful. And I think it would be super duper helpful for the real estate professionals, but we'll do the regular one today. So let's get cooking. Pick an artifact category to start building your idea from scratch. So I like to start from scratch. I'm weird. But it's now going to give me some usually it's a couple questions. It's like, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And so great, give me a blank canvas. Let's figure out what to build. Point me in this direction and tell me what to do. So I am going to add files. And I am going to go context kit. And that doesn't work. Lovely. So I will do it this way. All right, fine, I'll find it manually. One of the problems with doing a bunch of projects is you have a bunch of projects. So this is my build things that build things context. So I'm going to open that and I'm going to say, here are my company context cards. Analyze these and help me create a roadmap to building useful assets for my company. And so we'll send that.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So what is artifacts?
So artifacts is basically where you can shove a bunch of context and have it right there all the time. So as an example, if you were just started a new chat every time, you would click add files and then you would upload your context kit into that chat and then you would start whatever project you're doing in that chat, right? With an artifact, you can upload those things to the artifact, and now they're there permanently. So now you have the context kit, and so like you can do that for clients where you put the client context kit as one artifact, and then you upload your context kit, so you've got both of those, and then you can individually add the deal context instead of having it be persistent, right? So you can take, like let's say there's 3 houses that you think would be perfect for this client. You can upload those 3 into your client artifact, and it'll build assets specifically to your brand, to that client, for those specific homes, right? Or if you do it for yourself and you want landing pages and email newsletter, you want those things, it'll have all your context right there, and you can just, you don't have to, it basically solves the manual step of uploading each time your context stuff.
So when you start a new chat, you're directing it to one of the artifacts?
Yeah, so you would go to artifacts, and then you'd open the artifact, and then you could do a new chat inside the artifact. Okay. So the way to look at it is, if you have a football stadium, and the main field is the main chat, each seat could represent a different project, right? And so like you might say like, oh, I want section 8 of my stadium. And so you would just upload the things that would be useful for section 8, and then I probably should have used a different section now that I'm thinking about it. But the context would be exclusive to that section, so that if you know that there's restrooms, you have to go up to this concourse and go left, and that's only section 8 can access these restrooms, right? That would be specific to that section. If there's a hot dog vendor that only wants to sell hot dogs in section 8 because no other section consumes as much food, or whatever it is, you would have that piece of the stadium carved out, and that is where you would have the context for it. So every time you go into a new chat, it starts fresh, it's brand new. But section 8 has season ticket holders, right? And so that would be, these persistent context pieces are like your season ticket holders. And then this tickets for sale are like the prompts that you put in, because they change on a weekly basis, daily basis, per use basis. And so whatever the things are that you want to be consistent across the board, and you may want to have a different artifact for email newsletters than you do for website building for each client. Like you can basically almost use it like a micro CRM to some degree.
Okay, and then that's so then when you have projects, you're pulling in the artifact.
Yeah, so if you're using ChatGPT, when I say artifacts, that's what Anthropic calls them.
Oh, because I'm wondering, I do ChatGPT, but I also sign up for Claude.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So I've been kind of transitioning into Claude, but I have a really hard time letting go of ChatGPT.
Yeah, I understand now. I get it.
It knows me so well. It's
yep.
really difficult.
Yep.
But so, for instance, yesterday I had it create this like a cover letter, a cover picture on my Facebook.
Yeah.
Like basically it's like kind of a bigger business card, whatever.
Yep.
So then I gave that to Claude, and the Claude was like, oh, and so then it created this whole website for me. And it was funny because now that I'm remembering what we did last time, I'm realizing I started this project incorrectly, and because I had already started that landing page. And so now I'm like, I don't really know how to merge the two, and now I'm like, I think I would have been helpful if I had done an artifact, but it says projects here in Claude. That's why I'm like.
Oh yeah, so I actually have not gotten too deep into projects, but I think it's very similar. So if you would say like client.
I feel so disorganized with this, but I'm like, I don't really know.
So if you create a project, and this is super simple too. So this is your system prompt. So what you would do is you would go, and prompting is, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's very, very simplified at this point. The thing you need to know about prompting, like literally the only thing you need to know about prompting, understand as clearly as you possibly can the exact outcome that you want to get. And that is how you prompt at this point. You very clearly define the outcome, very clearly define the win state, and any constraints that you might have. And then you ask AI to create a prompt to create whatever it is that you want.
You said, okay, so to describe the outcome, and then what'd you say?
Yeah, so the outcome or the win state.
And a win state.
Yep.
Okay.
Any restrictions or constraints that you have. And any like proprietary knowledge that's not publicly available. So anything that it wouldn't know by searching the internet. And then you ask the AI, you say, generate a prompt that will achieve this. And so the most important thing for prompting is that you have a very clear understanding of the outcome that you want to get at the end of the movie. Not the process required to get it, because things have changed so much.
Yeah.
But the like, what is, like, I want a website that generates 1,000 visitors per month and is targeted towards local luxury real estate. Like, if that's the very clear outcome, try to get it, right? And you might say, like, oh, I don't know how many visitors I should try to get. Go to the AI and say, hey, what is a reasonable visitor level for a new website, and how can I ramp this up effectively? And so actually, yes, I probably would move to projects over artifacts now that I'm seeing exactly what this is. So
My projects look a little different. Well, yours probably have a different thing.
and then what you want to do is, this is where you would add your files. So you would click here, and you would go upload from device.
I see files.
And now I have all of my files in there. And you can see it says 1% of project capacity used. That's one of those things that is, we talked much earlier about context window management and some of those things. This is the context that you're using. So like, you want to make sure that that doesn't get too full, because if it does, that's where the performance of the model starts to degrade significantly. And I don't know how long that will be true for, because there's a lot of insanely smart people working on memory, context windows, and like how to solve kind of the needle in the haystack problem. And then it will also create memories in the chat for you. And so like, it'll create, once you talk with it a little while, it'll start creating memories and adding them to the context. And so you might look at the memory and be like, no, that's completely wrong. That was just a one-time thing. I need you to like go delete that. Or it'll start creating things where you're like, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that. I should apply that more deeply to the context card, right? And so these three things are probably the simplest way to turn your context cards into assets, because you can scale this almost infinitely. You can scale it to specific clients, you can scale it to specific deals, you can scale it to just you, and you can build out whatever you want underneath that. So like, if you want to send clients a unique landing page for a deal that is specifically designed to them, you can have it set up so that this has their client context, the deal that you want, and your context, and it'll build it exactly as you want. And you can make adjustments to where it's like, oh, the client just gave me this new piece of information. You can add that to here, and it'll kick it to a memory. And I don't think you can update the files directly through the project, but I would need to play around with it more to validate that for sure. But then all you would do is you would come in here and you would say, create a website for me. Super simple landing page. Show me in HTML. So now when it's creating the website, it's factoring in my context. It's not just building the website like Claude would. It's not just taking like, oh, you're a general person. I'm going to pull the things I have from my memory and push it in there. Artifacts are one of the, or projects are one of those things that are super duper useful for if you have multiple businesses and you need to silo things.
Yes, that's my problem.
Yep.
Like that's where I'm a little, it's like ChatGPT has all of my life.
Yes, yep.
And now I moved to Claude to just real estate here.
Yeah.
Ish. And then, so I had forgotten again that this contacts card thing, and I'm like, oh dang, I should have done that at first. I'm like, I need to write like a step by step when I need to go do something. Like, where am I going to my steps? Because I had completely forgot that I created all these.
Oh yeah, I have a full the way that I think you guys should be trying to end up is basically an asset creation pipeline. So it's not, a one-to-one-to-one. It's you basically put the information that you want at the front of the pipeline, you shove it down the pipeline, and then it gets assembly lined, basically is what it's doing, taking your context, adding, doing what it needs to do, and then it shoots out an asset at the end. We're looking to create factories at this point, asset creation factories or assembly lines or pipelines, whatever the terminology is. And so you can see, I asked it to create a website for me, super simple landing page, show me an HTML. So it says building the BT2 landing page as a single HTML file, right? So it's building that file right now with the context card. So it's not, if I would put this in just general Claude or ChatGPT, it would be like, okay, bro, what are we doing here? Like, you have so much stuff going on. Like, what am I actually building the landing page for? But because it's got all the context, it knows exactly what it's supposed to do. And you can see here, it said reading front-end design skill before building the landing page. So skills will be something that we talk about in probably the next class or the class after. But skills are one of those ways that you can have, again, more persistent context. Oh, and there it is. So it's not spectacular, but it has all my brand concepts. It's got a readiness audit, and I would obviously make significant adjustments, but it also has, my social media, if I was logged into LinkedIn. It's got a link right to the page, right? And so whatever social media or whatever assets that I think are valuable for people to see, that's what I want to put into the context. And you can see it's got a little animation there, build your business. It's a decent site. I don't necessarily love the white background or the grid on the background. So what I would do is I would go back to this and I would make an adjustment. Let's do that. So now we are officially in the iteration stage. And so, but yeah, ChatGPT's, it is useful. You can use ChatGPT to do the same thing. There have been people who have gotten really useful AI outputs with lesser models, meaning older large language models, older models. So this is Opus 4.8, but they also have Opus 3, right? And so if I wanted to test how good my context is, I can go to an older model and ask it to do the same thing and see if I get a high quality output. Because the worse the intelligence is, the better your context has to be to get the output you want.
Oh, so mine says Sonnet or something. Sonnet 5.
Sonnet 5, yep. Yeah, so Sonnet 5 was a model that they released actually a couple hours after the last class that we had. And so the benchmarks do not bear it out as a great model yet, but I think it will be. And so you can see I asked it to change the grid, I asked it to change, and now what I would say is help me implement these design changes in my context so you don't make the same mistakes. And so you're always asking the model to fix the system rather than the asset, and then you're asking it to rebuild the asset, right? So if you just fix the asset, you will spend your life fixing assets. If you fix the system that builds the asset, you'll be able to do other stuff, right? And so, and you can see here, it says recognizing read-only files versus canonical project context. So it's evaluating, it cannot touch the markdown files. So it can either give me new markdown files or it can make those adjustments. Yeah, and you can see here, it says the best approach is to give them a clean markdown block they can paste directly into their project files, probably the brand voice or markdown. And this is something that not a lot of people do, but I highly recommend opening the observability and understanding how the model is thinking. Because
I like that it does that.
Yeah, 100%.
How it's telling you what it's doing.
Yeah, and that
I like that a lot.
wouldn't happen if I didn't click it, right? So a lot of people just see what it's doing and they're like, oh, cool. But if you go up here and you click that, it opens up what's called the observability, and you can see its reasoning and its logic, and you can identify like, oh, this is where it went wrong. Because the second you can identify where something went wrong, you can start to fix it for real.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
And so you can see here, it's got design defaults.markdown. So it created a new markdown, which I can then download as a markdown file. I will save that. I will go back into projects. I'll open up Bob. I will add the design defaults. Now, what I probably should do is take those design defaults and take the brand voice, put those two in its own chat, and ask it to make sure that the design defaults are what is being represented in the brand voice. And then it'll create a clean markdown file. What I would do is I would remove that brand voice and then upload the updated one. And something else that's really, really helpful is ask it to add version numbers to your project or to your outputs, right? So that way you know I'm on version 7 of my brand context. And I've changed X, Y, and Z.
Oh, so that way you're like, okay, I like this from version 5. I like this from
Exactly. Yeah, it never locks you into. It helps you own your context, right? Where if you're like, these are all legacy contexts, and then you're like, oh, I overcorrected on version 8. Should just go back to version 7 and start again. You can pull version 7 and you still have it. You're not changing the real thing that is impacting your business on a day-to-day basis. You always have a safe copy of it. And like for me, I will probably delete versions as I get like 3 or 4 versions past. So like if I have 8 versions, I'll delete version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll keep 6, 7, 8. And so now theoretically, I've started a new chat with the same prompt I put in the first chat. Now, ideally, this new chat will create something much closer to this website than it did the other one. That being said, you never know what's going to happen with an AI. It's non-deterministic, so it's out there. So we'll see what happens. But the key mindset is that whatever the output is, you have a clear outcome of where the output should be, and you understand how to get there. And it's never, Carly and I were talking about this, it's so hard to get perfection on the first try, and it's so easy to get perfection with repetition, right? And so if you just focus on, it's not where I need it to be, but I know how to iterate it forward. If you know how to do that, you'll always have the ability to get what you want eventually. It's just the understanding that there is an eventually, not an immediate. And so we'll see if this builds the actual website that we want. Okay, so you can see it did. It built red, white, and light blue. It removed the grid background. And so the design aesthetic is much closer to what we actually want to represent the brand, right? And so that is honestly the biggest unlock is understanding, one, persistent context, and two, that you should be editing your context to get the assets you want rather than editing the assets that it creates.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
We're always trying to build a better foundation. We're never trying to reshingle the roof.
Which, that foundation is super important, as I'm realizing. And because what it can build is pretty incredible.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to know how to direct it.
Exactly. And that's why I say, like, clear outcomes are the most important part of prompting.
But sometimes my favorite thing is that, like, because it knows you, like, sometimes you don't know what to ask.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So that's why when you're saying, even ask this AI to ask that, to see.
Yeah.
That. So that's kind of where I'm at now, because I had that one AI create this one thing, which basically gave this one, Claude, a better understanding of what I'm trying to do. And then now what I have to do is I really like what it created, but now I have to go back to the original context to see if all of those are together. And I don't want to do it all myself, read through all of it.
Yep.
So I need it to do it for me.
Yeah, you can take the asset that it created that you really like, and you can say, evaluate this against my context. What does this asset have that I did not mention in my context or that I did not create in the context, and fill that out so that we can get this asset by asking the AI one simple question rather than the 30 questions that it took to get the real asset.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like this. Okay. So then once you're so you create a landing page, and then within my landing page, I have different tabs.
Yep.
So I want to get the landing page as perfect as I wanted through this
before
I then put it onto the website.
Yep.
So I created my own. I got my domain yesterday, and I got the
GitHub. Let's go.
But then
Proud of you.
Yeah, I got to the point where I needed to get from the HTML that I created into the GitHub, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and I stopped. Which I'm glad, because I didn't really read through the whole thing to perfect it before I even did that. So now I'm the cart was definitely before the horse. I need to finish that first. So then my thought is once I get the landing page done, can I how do I go to the different tabs? How do I direct it that way?
Oh, as far as adjusting the tab content?
Yes.
So you would just tell it basically, hey, go to this tab. Yeah, we're working on this specific thing. Okay. Don't touch anything else on my page, X, Y, and Z. And then what you do is you take that output to an AI and you adversarial prompt again, right? And you say, identify that I told the AI to do this, identify if it did that, and if it touched anything else on the page as well. And you can get it to kind of, debate itself and then be like, oh yeah, it touched this page, but it also did exactly what you wanted. And then you go evaluate. And what I found too is sometimes I'll look at the pages that I didn't want it to touch and be like, oh, I'm the one that was wrong for it not wanting to touch it, right? And so you kind of have to always be evaluating and quality controlling. And that's kind of the human's primary job with AI now, is understanding how to plan the project and then how to quality control the project. The actual build stuff coding is very, very low cost at this point. Like the actual code is super cheap, is what kind of the tech motto is. But design principles, taste, all that kind of stuff is where humans are still very insanely valuable. Especially if you have an audience that you've already connected with and you know what works, right? Then your taste is even more valuable than any part of the project, right? And so we'll go into this since we've got a little bit of time. You can go into connectors in Claude, and I think ChatGPT has something similar.
That's just in the plus.
Yeah. So in ChatGPT,
Tool access.
okay, where is ChatGPT tools?
Tools when needed.
I know they have connectors.
Check.
Okay, there's the app. I know the web version has connectors.
Add a system connector. Oh, are you kidding me? I can connect chat to this.
So like you can go to.
Oh my God.
You can connect it to Net. So what I do is I always connect it to GitHub and Netlify, and then I can tell it push to GitHub, give me a Netlify test website, and it does everything. It's an end-to-end.
I think that's where I put my contents card was GitHub, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and you can and if you connect the GitHub connector, you can have it pull it right from GitHub every time. And so that's another way to basically build your own version of projects. And if you do it that way by putting your context card into GitHub, you're not model locked, right? So like you can call it from Perplexity, she can call it from Claude if it's in GitHub. And it runs roughly the same effectiveness. And so that's another way that you don't have to rent from the model, you can own the business and it's in the GitHub. And with the GitHub, you can actually edit the files as well. So you don't have to, you don't have to do the version control because GitHub does it automatically for you. That's one of the big reasons for it. And then two is you can actually audit or edit the actual files right in there. And so this is when I say create a pipeline, this is creating the pipeline, right? You have your context, you have GitHub, you have Netlify, and so you can go from prompt to live asset in like 2 steps.
Whoa. Okay, so I need to spend time to add these connectors.
Connectors are super valuable, yeah. So what I always tell people is your context kit is the brain, the connectors are the hands and feet.
Say that one more time.
The context kit is the brain, connectors are the hands and feet. So you have the ability to go from the chat window to real work using connectors. And it didn't used to be that way. When this stuff all first came out, you had to still have knowledge on how to build API and like actually have things talk to each other. Now the model, and this is also what I mean when I say you only need the foundational model, right? Because if you have the right free connectors with the model, it can do anything you want it to. And this is why AI is eating software. Like people say that software as a service is dying or dead. There is a useful niche out there for it, but the more you understand how to use the foundational model, the less you need any type of external software outside of one of the big 4 models.
Did you hear that in California they're going to start taxing businesses on all of the software that they use, all of the websites that they use? So if you use
Dang, that's brutal.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolute worst thing in the world. And if anybody votes for freaking Gavin Newsom, you are voting for the devil. He's literally the devil, or his aunt is the true devil. But anyway, so if, because I in my business I have so many subscriptions, right? Like your Microsoft and your all the things. So you're going to get taxed on all of those things.
That's absurd.
Every single website that you use and use subscriptions for. Yeah, it's like And you think about when I'm looking at all these things, I'm like, that's a lot.
Right, and that only harms the businesses. Like that's like, and the people. Like, there's no benefit to their. I mean, the state of California is the only one that benefits, and they're just going to squander the money anyway. If I'm being honest. So.
Yeah, like they use it so wisely.
Yeah, exactly.
So wisely we use our money. So horrible. Oh.
But yeah, this is so. I said a little bit earlier that agents are a brain. Outcomes that you want to get, and then the tools to achieve those outcomes. Those are the three things that all agents have in the simplest terms possible. And so you connect these things, and like as an example, Exasearch is something that can go and scrape websites and get data from websites. So if you need like county tax assessor data, you can say, go use Claude and Chrome and Exasearch and get tax assessor data for me. And it can actually go pull stuff. Google Calendar, I needed to set a doctor's appointment yesterday, and my doctor's office just opened a location in Hendersonville, and I didn't even know what time my appointment was. So I called them. They were like, hey, here's your appointment time. I told Claude, hey, I have an appointment at Hopewell Family Practice in Hendersonville at this time, please, whatever. And it went and did the research, found the address, found the contact information, set the notification for me, and then pushed it into my calendar, right? So it's now a personal assistant rather than, okay, well, I know that I have this. Now I need to go look up the address. I need to go set the calendar appointment manually. That doesn't need to happen anymore with connectors. And like I created an entire commercial, like a legit commercial, using the Higgsfield MCP, or the Higgsfield connector, what they call it. Instantly is an email sending provider. And so, if you go into add connectors, you can click browse connectors. And I mean, there's hundreds. These are all connectors, all of them.
And I can browse connectors in my Perplexity?
I think so. I think Perplexity has connectors. Let me double check.
You know all your logins.
Yep, that's.
This is very hard for me.
Yep. The nice thing about the connectors is once you log in, they're connected, and that's the thing that's like it's done, and that's one of the useful things for me too. Is like every time I would have to go log into something, I'd be like, okay, what do I need to do? Like, what email address is this signed up under? All that stuff.
Oh, I know. I have a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I need I almost need to connect it to so many things, but only so it can clear out things because I have like a bajillion emails and I'm like having a little hard time.
Oh, 100. So I just used. I think I went from 7,000 emails to 300 using connectors to delete, repurpose, archive, categorize, like everything.
Individual emails or email accounts?
So I have, I think.
So many email accounts, like I don't know how to like clear them out.
I think I have 12 email accounts. And so like several are Outlook, several are Gmail. I think those are the only two providers I use, but there's like 6. There's like a personal Gmail. There's a Gmail that I give to subscriptions that I know are going to send me a bunch of spam. There's my business Gmail that's buildthings@buildthings.com. There's AIacceleration.ai. There's like all these, all of my domains have a Gmail. And then the mobile home parks have Outlook. And so Outlook's more of a pain in the butt than Gmail. But yeah, you can use those connectors and it'll get the inventory. And like sometimes, so there are some connectors that don't have edit access, and that's good and bad. I think the Claude MCP does not have edit access, but I have done a lot, and we'll go over Cowork in probably a couple weeks, but I've done a lot in Cowork as well, which is like they're basically Claude's business agent. So if you need space on your computer, if you need an IT professional, go to Claude Cowork and say, hey, I need you to function as an IT professional. Help me figure out the most efficient way to run my computer. Help me organize all the files in my downloads folder. Help me X, Y, and Z. And you can click the project and you can add the folders that you want it to work in. And so connectors and Cowork are two of the most useful things possible. And these, like I said, these are the things that literally take it to where you don't need other software for the most part. You can connect it, like Exasearch is free, Fireflies is like a transcriber, like a meeting transcriber. So that's really cool because if I have a meeting with someone, I now have an intelligence layer to that meeting. Right, so I can ask Fireflies, hey, what were the work items that I need, the action items that I needed from this project? And if I have enough connectors connected, or the right connectors rather, I can say, hey, I need you to identify all the actionable items from this conversation and do as much of it as possible. Right, because a lot of people are like, oh, I have the AI and it kind of gives me the steps to do. The goal is to not be doing the steps. The goal is for you to be, like I said, quality controlling the outputs of the AI, even within the steps. And so like I never have it send emails, but I have it draft emails so that I just need to read and then I can send.
Yeah.
And so.
Which also, by the way, I don't know if you've been doing the AI tool in Compass, but it does that too.
I have not been using the AI.
I started like playing around with it. That's what started me on this whole thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they have a tool in there. It was like identifying a lead of mine that's like a likely to sell or whatever. And then it was like, it created a touch point plan with scripts. And then it was like, click here to start that task. And then it like added it into the task for you to do that. So I started to use the Compass AI with my ChatGPT and Claude yesterday, and I spent all day on this, and I was like, pretty cool, really cool when you think about it. But
So you blended them all together.
for different things, right? Because I mean, because obviously the AI for Compass is just, you know, with Compass it does a lot of stuff, and so I was usually asking it to like direct me where I needed to go because I couldn't remember where certain things were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it also has like a to-do sheet, like to do like your suggested things that you need to be doing, and it will like give you tips on what to do there, so, or give you ideas. But what was really impressive was like on day 3, send this text, and it was like, do you want me to create that task for you with the text? I was like, yeah. And then it was like, do you want to see it? I'm like, yeah. And it like goes and takes you, and it showed it. And I was like, okay, it's there, all right, you know. And then it said even further, it was like, do you want to schedule the tasks? So there's some kind of program that I can put in there that would actually send the text. It sounds like, which I have to connect it with my Google phone number, which is a whole other thing. But
Yep.
Anyway, but I'm like, this is like, I love things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I created all that for you. So
Yeah.
it's like a new. All the emails are like, have you tried AI thing? You know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, try it.
And so it's moving from like chat conversations to legitimate delegation,
It
right?
is,
Like that's
yeah.
where we're headed.
Which is so cool. Because
Yeah.
Again, it's like it's anticipating your need, which I love.
Yep.
I love that so much.
And it's doing the work. It's not just telling you, hey, you have work to do. Yeah.
Right? It's like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do it? Yes, I do.
Yep.
Yes, I do. And then it's like, and then it gives you ideas like, how about this?
Yeah.
Yes, I need to do that.
Yep,
too.
100%.
You know, or
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's 100% of the reason too why like AI coaches and teaching they're going to be irrelevant at some point. I just don't know what that point is. And it's understanding that there is alpha in going quickly.
I think that what you said a little while ago was key, is teaching us how to be project managers.
Yeah.
That's really where it boils down to.
Yep.
And that skill can take you to all facets of your life.
100%.
You can create that.
Right.
You understand that.
If you can manage a project well and you understand how to iterate it forward to where you need it to go, like that's, with AI, that's all you need to be able to do is just the OODA loop.
And a lot of project managers, well, their weaknesses, i.e. I have this problem, is delegation.
Yep.
So if it's as easy as using your AI tool to delegate,
Right.
then that's a lot of really good human skills that we all need.
Yeah.
For almost anything.
Yep. And if you're delegating to something that is basically an extension of you, right? Like that never calls out sick, it never is going to talk back unless you ask it to.
And it knows you better than yourself.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yep.
It's scary.
Yeah. And it's infinitely smarter than anything that I've ever created, right? Like it's infinitely more intelligent than what I would be on my own. And using it as an amplifier or a multiplier is where the value is. It's taking that and being like, okay, this thing's smarter than me. How do I get the most out of it for me, right? Because I've said this a couple times, but it's like having a smart friend with super bad ADHD, where if you don't rein it in, it's going to go in whatever direction it wants because it knows there's so many solutions out there that you don't even have an awareness of, right? And so you can be like, hey, you can either ask it, hey, what are the solutions to this problem? Or you can say, here's the solution I have, execute it, make sure you're working within these constraints and that you don't do this because I've tried it and it stinks, right? And
like the other day, I was feeling like really overwhelmed with all these things, and I find that I started using AI primarily for brainstorming.
Yep.
My brain.
100%.
You know, and so I'll just like word vomit everything in my brain to it, and I did that one day, and it was like, and it like ended up at the end of it, it was like, you know, like it was like, okay, I can see how I can help you, and it was like basically I will become your CEO.
Right.
And it's like, and we need to have those meetings, which is what you were talking about too.
Yep.
And we need, and like every time, because it was, I was like, what are my weaknesses? And it was telling me like, you have so much going on, and you have all these ideas, and then you start them and you stop, and nothing gets done.
Yep.
And it was like, so basically what I will do is hold you accountable. Like once your brain starts going like, oh, what about this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we will be like, let's archive that for later.
Yep.
Let's finish this.
Yep.
And I was like, oh
Yep.
my God, you can rein me in. Like,
Yeah.
Like, rein me in. Like,
Yep.
so that's great, but no, back to this.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Exactly.
I desperately need that, you know? And so, and it was like, I just, it's like really cool. But
And
then it gives you tools like, okay, for this problem, how about this tool? Let's try
yes.
this. So like, okay. And it was like, based on how your brain works, you need to be able to talk to something and it needs to do it for you. And he's like, how about this thing? And so now I'm like trying different tools. But that's the key, is figuring out which tools work for you. It's just giving you a lot of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the cool thing about AI is, and I've said this is the main problem and also the biggest strength, is that it can do everything. And so it can work with your work style. It can also work with someone else's work style. And it can identify, hey, this is how I can help you. And so as long as you have the ability to have it work with you in that way versus going in all directions and kind of scattering out, like it can be it can be a powerful tool for helping to execute. It can be a powerful tool for, like, some people don't have any ideas and they need something to get rolling off a blank canvas, right? It can help with them. It can be like, oh, you're stagnating with ideas. It'll do the same thing. And it's so scalable, and it can be scaled in the same way for you personally, as long as you understand how to enter the problem-solving loop and what the end state is when you can exit it.
That OODA loop thing is like really hard to for me to work out.
Yeah. No, and that's, people do the OODA loop, and what you'll find is like, you'll find yourself like calling it different things. You'll be like, oh, I need to do research. Okay, so you're doing step one of the OODA loop. You're observing what the reality is. You're orienting to and you just kind of do it naturally, but you call it something. You might add an extra step. You might take a step away, like whatever it is.
I also am really bad. When I remember, I have to write things down to remember, but I never go back to this. I never look at it, and then I like need it to be organized in a place so I can like reference it later, because I can't control F my stupid notebook.
You can take a picture of it, upload it to chat, and then...
That is what I need to start doing.
100%, yeah.
Because when you were saying that for the prompts, that was really helpful last time.
I actually saw something where someone, if you know about Harry Potter, there's in one of the movies, there's a journal that they write in, and the text disappears, and then it writes back to you. Someone has made basically they turn their tablet into, they called it, I think, the Harry Potter journal. So they'll write on the tablet, and that sends it to an LLM on the back end, and then the LLM will write back to them in the tablet. Like, it's the journal thing. And so, yeah.
Well, and I have the same issue with being, like, I don't know where my contacts cards are. I don't know how to get them. You know, all that stuff. So I had looked up the co-work thing on here, and then it says for file organization, you do a lot yourself, and then Claude Co-work will automate the repetitive parts, set a clear structure. So it says pick one home base.
Yep.
So it just lay
Yeah.
it out for me. And then inside it, create top level folders, real estate, travel, personal, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And then use a clear folder hierarchy. So like real estate, listings, 2026. You
In
know,
your
like,
context card, you mean?
no, this is for if I want co-work to go in and organize my files and things for me.
You can copy and paste that, put it into CoWork, and it will organize your computer. And that's the clarity of outcomes, right? We talked about clarity of outcomes are so much more important than prompting right now because the AI will do the prompting for you. So if you have that clarity of outcome, like this is the organizational style that works for me, Claude
And then
CoWork, do it.
It's easy to remember because I know that it's real estate, 2026.
Yeah.
And then you have that. And then I would use maybe my address and my client name, you know?
Yep.
And so you tell it all that, and then it gives the active or archive, and then you just put that in and tell Claude to go.
Yep. And CoWork will do it for you. Yep.
I mean,
But
it's just
to
crazy
me,
to me.
finding the the outcome is sometimes the challenge for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I spend hours defining clear outcomes. And
That is my hardest part.
yep.
But you can use this to brainstorm with you too.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, this is my hardest part, and then it's like you get into conversation and it helps you sort
Yeah,
it out.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So could I go back to my conversation? Remember the vomit, the word vomit I did to ChatGPT the other day?
Yep.
It was like organizing my thoughts. Could I then say, okay, tell me how to use Claude co-working because I don't know how to even use Claude really.
Yep.
Right? So like, to do that.
100%. Yeah, you can go back into that and you can say, like, what? So I will often ask the AI, I will say, this is what I think I want. This is X, Y, and Z. I need you to interview me and make sure that that what I'm telling you is actually going to get what I want. Or do I even want the thing that I'm saying that I want? And there are several times where it's like, nah, dude, you're way off base. Like you need to change X, Y, and Z of the thing that you want to get the outcome you want. It's like, and you can think about like too, like you can start as the most remedial level possible. Like you can be like, I am a realtor. What do I need to do now? And it will just start talking to you. And then you, like as a seasoned realtor, you can be like, no, that's wrong, X, Y, and Z. This is like, what do I need to do? Like you can ask it questions like, what is a reasonable traffic number for a website that you've created? Or what should the goal be for a landing page? Like what should the goal even be? One thing too is like citing sources that you value. So like two of the people that I follow extensively for marketing are Alex Hormozy and Alex Becker. I will consistently tell it to pull context from those two people so that my marketing reflects Alex Hormozy and Alex Becker in their marketing strategies.
Yeah, and then like here, it says, if you will share how messy your things are now. And I can outline one exact co-work prompt to start cleaning up safely. You know, like, he even could tell just from me talking to him. Like,
Yep.
you know, and if you see my desktop, like, I have traumatized
Yes.
people.
Yep.
I know having to clean up that stuff is like
Yeah.
it's a job.
Yeah, yeah. I had one guy that came over and he's like, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen it. You know? And he's like, I'm on computers all day. I've never seen anything like this. You know, so I save everything to desktop so that I can find it.
Of course.
Yep.
Technically find it, right? I know. My computer did an update recently where I used to be able to go into, I got all my client folders. And
I
then
hate
it's like
updates.
when I go into the update, hey, it's like,
Yeah.
Vanessa Sizemore, whatever. And now it gives me all the files before the folders. And now I gotta scroll and I'm like, now I hate this. Now
Yep.
I don't know how to find anything now because it's
Yeah.
taking me forever. And so anyway, I'm just like really disorganized. Organized, yeah.
So there's a physics principle called entropy, which is basically that life and all things kind of move towards a state of disorganization without effort to keep organized, right? Like it's in physics, it's basically how well does something manage heat, right? Like how well, basically how much energy can you put into the system without the system exploding, right? And so entropy debt on a business is basically, where are my context cards? I built them, they're useless to me because I don't know where they are, right? And so like that's entropy debt on a business, and all businesses have some level of entropy debt. And this is one of the things that can kind of eliminate entropy. And if you look at what that does over the course of a year, where you don't have to scroll through your, like, let's just say it takes 30 seconds, which would be fast for me, to find something in my computer. If I search for 200 things a day, you look at 30 seconds times 200, that's a lot of time, right? And so you multiply that over a year and you identify like, oh, if I'm using a system to better manage my resources and eliminate my entropy debt, how much am I actually saving? And it turns out to be an astronomical amount of time, which leads to an astronomical amount of effort, which has the potential, if you invest it well, to lead to more revenue, right? And so like entropy debt is one of those things that a lot of people don't think is as important as I think it should be, but I personally value like this stuff being an organizational utility more than almost anything, because it saves so much time from disorganization. And I'm a very disorganized person. I'm one of those people that's like, I am a productivity tornado, and that leaves just a bunch of junk in my wake.
Something you did the other day that I just realized, that's what that is the multiple desktops.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. So I'm just going to ask you if this is how. So Compass has its own Google.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own millions of Google.
Yep.
And the most important millions of Google's place is my personal one with all of my Chrome stuff. And so when I start in the day, I will pull up a Compass Chrome, then I'll pull up my own Chrome, and I'm kind of dancing between all these Chromes.
Yep.
And so my feeling is that's kind of, so should I do a desktop per Chrome, like rather than just different Chromes, especially if I'm going to use the AI?
So the way I manage it, and this may or may not work, you kind of have to play around with it and just kind of see what works best for you. The way I manage it is, during the course of a normal workday, I will keep everything typically in one desktop, just because I'm usually doing the same stuff a majority of the day. Now, if I'm doing, like I have metal that I'm doing some stuff with, and I have acceleration that I'm doing some stuff with, and whatever, then I might chop it up to where it's like I have a browser that's related to all the metal stuff. I have a Claude window that's there that will only be used for the metal stuff. I'll pull up all the resources I need for whatever that project is and kind of tranche those by desktop. That's the way I kind of do it. And like for presentation, I have all my presentation stuff when I come in here on one desktop, so that I don't have to bounce around to my other stuff. And my other stuff remains undisturbed. It's still functional and able to perform. But I have a desktop that is set up just for my presentation stuff. And everything I need to present is here. So like I have the Claude, I have the websites that I wanted to present, and I've got the actual presentation somewhere.
So each one of those things you've got going on up there is a desktop?
Yeah, so this is one desktop and this is two. I will get up to sometimes 5-ish desktops if I really want to be like focused in.
And what is the button that does that?
You see this guy that has these two little windows? It's like a two little window guy. Like,
I don't have a two little window. Oh, yes, I do.
yeah.
Okay.
So you see, if you click that and it has a little plus. That's how you can figure the. So I'm thinking, because I was telling my husband,
Ta-da!
my husband that I multitask to my detriment.
Yep.
And because I'll be doing real estate, blah, 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 and the next thing you know, somebody calls for my insurance, and now I gotta go do that, and then I go, right, whatever. And so like, I'm just like, no, it's too many things. So I was thinking that the desktop option, when you did that, I was like, oh, that's what that was?
I really enjoy it. Like, I love having the ability to have my work siloed as much as it can be with the volume of work that it is. And like, if I'm doing, and like, you can divide it up different ways. Like, the reason I do one desktop is predominantly because a lot of my work is code based. So I'll have all my coding stuff in one place rather than all my different businesses, right? So you can tranche it by like activity that you're doing. You can do it by business. However it, works for you. And it could change on a day-to-day basis, right? And the more you explore the tool, the more you'll figure out, oh, this is what works for me on just an everyday basis for the most part. Or like, oh, there have been seasons where I've been like, okay, I'm just coding for like 16 hours a day is what it feels like, right? And so it's just like one desktop with a bunch of coding assistants open or whatever it is.
Well, the reason why I like that is that if I have my Outlook is where I have four different emails. But I found that if I see that there's an email, then I go in there.
Right.
But if I want to put that email in that desktop, then I'm working on something else, then I won't get distracted by the email because I'm not going to see it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So that's where like I really need, because again, I just like squirrel
Yep.
all day, and it makes me feel like I do nothing all day.
100%, yeah.
All day. What am I doing? Absolutely nothing.
Right, yeah, exactly. I felt like I did a lot of stuff today, but I have nothing to show for it. What is going on? Yep, 100%.
Yesterday, I had closed my office, so I could focus on one thing all day, and I worked on AI and Compass all day, and I was like, look at all the things I did.
Yep, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Really like, okay, that's how I really need to start working.
Focus is a superpower. I actually got the chance to talk with the head wrestling coach of the American Kickboxing Academy, which in MMA, there's like a couple very elite gyms, and AKA is one of them. And the woman's amazing. Like, she is like just a brilliant coach, like super like dialed in. And so one of the questions I asked her, because they've trained not just world champions, they've trained people who are like considered the best in the entire sport, like the greatest of all time in the sport. And I asked her, I was like, what's the difference between those guys? Like, well, I asked her, is there a difference between those guys? And like, what is it if there is? Assuming that there would be. And she said that for one of the top fighters, he had the ability to compartmentalize really, really well. So he would be like taking his kids to school, and then he would come to practice, and then he would coach wrestling, and then he would do X, Y, and Z. And so he had to compartmentalize everything, even though everything was roughly building to the same thing. And then with the other fighter that she mentioned, he is basically, if you have anything to talk to him about that's not fighting or eating, you have to talk to his personal assistants. He has 2 people under him that you will talk to if you do not want to talk about fighting or eating. And you do not have something valuable to say to him. And so like that's the level of focus that he has. Right. And the same with like Kobe Bryant. He would go to the gym and work for 2 or 3 hours on the same thing. People just don't have the ability to do that, and therefore they don't get as good. Well, and obviously he was a really gifted athlete and all the other things that come with it, but his work ethic was absolutely insane. And his ability to focus on, I'm going to do this one small thing. One of my favorite Kobe Bryant stories of all time is that he played youth basketball in Italy, didn't score a point the entire summer. He was like, not a breakaway layup, nothing. I didn't score a single thing. And what he said was, his dad said, I love you regardless if you score points or not. And he's like, once I had that, I just went to work building the fundamentals. And so he said, my plan, it was a 16-year plan from like an 8-year-old to just build the fundamentals of basketball. And his intention was that by the end of high school, he would be the best player, whatever it was. And he said by year 2 or 3 of just working fundamentals, he was the best player in the league. And then it just kept building from there. And so if you just have the ability to focus on the things that actually matter and like actually understand what the priorities are that drive value in the business, that's where you get those magical multiple transformations.
Yeah. Yep.
And the desktop tool, I think, is a really great way to like lock yourself into that.
That's
Yeah.
That's a great. That's exactly what I need to do.
Because I'm the same way. Like after a certain point, I start looking for things to be distracted, right? And
I procrastinate the things I know are going to take a long time.
oh, 100%. The things I don't want to do, yeah. The soul crushing work that like has to get done. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've learned that it's really my email is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I can spend all day just working on emails.
Oh yeah.
Because then you stack your emails of shit that you're going to get done later.
Yep.
You know, and so then you're building up a thing.
Connectors. Yeah. Connectors are one of the things that like, because you can have it be like, I had it pull all the context from each one of my clients that emailed me. So I'd be like, find every email from any email that had this email address or this email address, pull that into a context folder for me. Copy it, pull it into a context folder. And it would, and it would create markdowns of the context. So now I have all of my client context in those conversations. I edit it out and like fix the things that are different, whatever. Or have the AI do it, and then now you have the client context card without really honestly doing too much work because it pulled it off from your email. And so that's constantly what we should be looking for with AI is like, what are the efficiencies that this can gain me over the manual process? Yeah. And the only way to do that is to understand what the actual workflow in the manual process is. And people want AI to be this magic button, but if you don't have understanding, there's a meme that basically says shit in, shit out. Mm-hmm. And it's all about your inputs. If you have good inputs, you will have good outputs. But if you have terrible inputs, doesn't matter what you do to the information, you're gonna have a bad output. And so if you really focus on input goals and like and deep understanding of what you're doing, I think we're at a space where you have to go a mile deep, not a mile wide at this point, because anyone can go a mile wide with AI, and it's super simple, and you can do it in 10 seconds. So if you have no human expertise, you're not creating value in the marketplace at this point, sadly. Like I've said before that AI just obliterates mediocrity. Yep, 100%. Yep. And that's like you see jobs getting eliminated. You see, but an interesting point. And software engineer jobs are coming back, but a lot of companies got rid of junior developers and are paid senior developers more because the senior developers know how to use the tools to be 100x, 1,000 times more productive than they were. Whereas the junior developers, they don't have that expertise, and so the AI can replace them.
I started going through my notes, and now I'm like, why am I doing that? I'm gonna take a picture and all those things.
And
although I don't really know, like, I think I have the worst level of shorthand. I don't even know how to do shorthand. I just know my brain, and I don't finish words. So it's like this thing is not gonna know.
Well, let me just tell you one of the coolest things I had ever done with AI. I was going on a trip, and there was a terrible situation that had happened here in real estate that I needed to address. And so when I got on a plane, I just started writing out everything. And I had like 13, 14, 15 handwritten front and back pages.
Dang!
It all out of there, you know. And then I wanted to take things from that process to put it into a letter form, but obviously this was crazy. I took pictures, I put it in, it translated it all for me and it fixed word. I mean, it was like I was watching a magic show.
Yeah.
It was like, this can't possibly be. And then we broke it down into smaller, and then I had a great
like summary of
yeah, at the end, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about Google is I know that Google can do it. I think Claude, I think ChatGPT can do it, but you can actually do it with a video if you have a ton of pages. So just start a video, and then upload the video to Google. Google is the best, at least as far as my experience, Google is the best at interacting with video. Take the video, you guys get Google with Compass, take the video, push that to Google, and this is best if you have like 14, 15 pages, you can just, right?
It was just like
yeah. Oh, it's insane, yeah.
I was spiraling.
No. Yeah, right.
A mental breakdown.
Yep. Well, no, and that's so useful too, right? It takes the emotion out of your response, right? It's like, oh.
Yes. I mean, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like when you're gonna respond to somebody and you just like verb like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I
And then you're like, because you need to get it out, right?
Yes.
Yep.
You're like, all right, AI, clean. It's like, I can see
Yeah.
that you're upset. And it's like,
Yep.
Yes, and it probably helped it to really know me deep.
Right? How your mind works. Really
Yeah.
well. That's
Mhm.
the point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
important, yeah.
Yeah, but it was pretty crazy because I had no idea that it would really.
Right, what
do
the
anything.
outcome
I'm
was
like,
going to be.
How am I gonna? I can't even read what I wrote.
Yep. Yeah, and if it can interpret my handwriting, it can work miracles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you can also do is you can give it some context, so you can interpret your shorthand for it a little bit. Like give it a key of like, hey, on this first page, you might see X, Y, and Z shorthand. This means this, this means this, this means this. This is kind of how my thought process on shorthand works. Try to figure it out.
It's more like, I don't complete words.
Yeah.
I don't know how to start a word.
Yeah, you could say like, hey, use autocomplete and extrapolate based on what you know of not only the context of the page, but the context of me, figure it out. And more often than not, it figures it out. It is the smartest like friend you've ever had, right? And it's super useful. Yeah. And so many people just use it as like you're just a really nice Google, right? Like they'll just use it as a search bar and they're not using it as a co-intelligence to do brainstorming, to do outcome processing, to do all the things that can actually move the business forward. Like you can hire the smartest employee in the world for like $200 a month in Claude and just rock and roll with it. And like people don't interact with it in that way. And that's one of my big points is like it is a co-intelligence at this point that actually can impact things in the real world. It's not just like, oh, I have a question anymore.
And I love Whisperflow.
Yeah.
Loved
What was
Whisperflow.
Whisperflow again?
Whisperflow was where you can speak into it, and it knows what you're saying.
Yep, it's speech to text.
Yes, and so, but it does it so accurately.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's a
I
really
get
good processing
frustrated
module.
because it doesn't always understand me.
Yep.
When I typically use
Yeah.
a product like that. So, and what was so funny is I got home and Whisperflow does not work on Android.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, dang it.
I know. Well, so I'm looking up iPhones, which my husband and my son have done everything except like knock me unconscious
Right.
with an iPhone. And it does nothing to me.
Right, yep.
This is what I want.
Yep.
So Kobe's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm considering iPhone. He said, what happened to you?
Who hurt you?
And I said, I found an app that I can't have without it, and I like it.
Yeah.
And I said, the reason I loved Android so much is because with iPhone, there were things I could not have.
Right,
I
yep.
could not do, I could not have
Yep.
it. But I always can on Android, right?
Yep.
Well, I said, this just swapped.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And they were both, they talked about me for an hour.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. I love it.
And they looked up Whisperflow to see what converted.
Right, that's hilarious. I love it.
That is a big,
You hear that, Whisperflow?
that is a big challenge that I have because that's why I have an Android. Is because especially for business functionality, I do not believe that Apple can do the same.
Yeah.
Especially just like Microsoft and whatever.
Mhm.
And I feel like Apple is behind all the time.
Yes.
That I don't want
Oh,
to.
they are.
They are.
They are.
They're behind, and so
And
I'm
they're
like,
control freaks.
Yep.
oh, they're awful.
100%, yeah.
They used to be the
Yep.
Hear that, Apple?
leaders.
Yeah, yeah.
They used to be the leaders, and now they're always behind. It's like, oh, you got that special camera? We've had that for 10 years. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yep.
whatever, you know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
exactly,
And
yeah.
People think that us with Android are like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
But they want our pictures when we take
Yep.
them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
100%.
But,
Yeah.
But I bet you there's got to be another Whisperflow kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe, but anyway, it did, I almost am kind of considering a two-phone,
Yeah.
thing.
I have been
to
considering that
see.
too because I have my California phone number.
Mhm.
So then I have I have a Tennessee Google number, but I'm feeling like I don't really know when it's coming, so I don't know how to work that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's the first time I had even ever considered.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
know that I would. But
Right,
I-
yeah.
I
Nice.
thought about it.
Yeah. No, and that's the power of the apps right now is the simplicity that they can create in your life, and like the entropy management is like the most important thing. So for me, like I value simplicity almost above everything.
I've never even heard the word. That's weird. Maybe it changed since I looked it up. When did we talk about that? Was it
2 or 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
And they could have been, because
Yeah.
that's one of the things that AI really benefits really smart engineering companies with, is the ability to release new things insanely fast.
That
Like,
is so funny.
Claude-
I can't wait to tell.
Yeah. You can stop the conversation now. We're good.
I'm really annoyed because I was on this call with Compass and they were going through this huge, like every morning you should be going in here on your app and it's going to tell you all these things and da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh my God, great. Like, I didn't even know that. And they're like, but they don't have that for Android. I was like, what the? But
Yep.
it's coming in September. I'm like, I gotta wait for that. You know, like,
Yep.
whatever, but I'm still waiting because I'm not switching to stupid
Yep.
Because my switching from Apple to non-Apple was traumatizing years ago. Because they owned everything.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even get my phone number because they owned it in the cloud.
Yep.
And, like, then I wasn't getting my messages. And then I lost all my music and all the thing. And I'm like, I hate them. You know?
Yep.
And then that's where I just stopped going.
And that is the exact reason why it's important to have context cards. That is the exact reason.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
You do never want to be locked into an ecosystem of anybody's choosing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
I'm very much that way.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, like I tell people all the time because they're like, I love, and then they insert whatever AI it is, and I'm like, you should love being model agnostic and moving quickly. Like that's what we should value as it relates to AI.
I'm in.
Let's go.
That's right, baby. I'm like, I gotta get that right.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Yeah, really good engineering companies like Claude Desktop almost releases a new update every day. Like I almost have to click their update button every single day, which is annoying, but I would rather be annoyed by that than by it having not features, right? Like,
Okay.
I'm sending it to them right now.
You're all, no iPhone for me. Look what I just got.
freedom.
So, Carly, what I wanted to ask you about was these, sorry.
Oh no, are we good? I feel good. I'm good with, okay, perfect.
A great time.
Yeah, this is fun. This is a good time. I love it.
I need like workspaces like this to pull me out of what I'm